So, hello and welcome. I'm Frederick Dunn, and I'm going to walk you through a recent seminar series that I went to, the 2025 Western Pennsylvania Beekeeping Seminar. It was held on February 7th and 8th, and I was there to talk about honeybee anatomy. But I didn't spend all my time in the lecture hall. I walked around and met people and looked at some of the products that were there in the vendor hall. So, I didn't visit a lot of them, but I hope you'll be interested in some of the things that I share with you here. Everyone that came was handed a pack of Hive Alive fondant. I'm familiar with that, happy to get it. And another cool thing that I got, a coffee cup. This thing's guaranteed to hold hot liquids. Let's go on and talk to some vendors. Thanks for being here.
Okay, so the very first vendors that I'm going to visit, Midnight Bee Supply. So you guys have been at the North American Honeybee Expo. How many years? The last two?
Yep.
Okay. And so you're a team. Aaron and Calvin are recognized right away. So that should be no slight on you. You must have been working. That's why I didn't get to talk with you.
I didn't make it to Kentucky this year. We have youngins at home, and so I had to stay back.
Okay. So give me just a brief outline of what your business is.
Yeah, absolutely. So we specialize in our pine and cypress woodenware. All of our woodenware is made in-house. We're based out of Vass, North Carolina. We're in a very small town. We do, however, pride ourselves in having a little bit of everything. So we try hard to be a one-stop shop for beekeeping essentials and offer knowledge and advice wherever it's necessary.
Okay, and one of the first things I noticed looking at, I recognize most everything. By the way, this uncapping thing, very impressive. Would one of you care to describe how that works?
Yeah. So you take your frame and push it through with your cappings on. This thing moves enough to
Oh, I see.
allow your frame of varying widths to go through there, even if you're running 9 out of 10 frame box or whatever the case may be.
And it's going to slice your cappings as opposed to removing them. So
Yeah.
you're saving a lot of that wax in order to give it back to the bees and save some of their work.
So you don't have a bunch of cap wax in your tank.
Yes.
So your uncapping tank's just honey then at that
Absolutely,
point, right?
it's a lot cleaner.
Do you find that it slows down extraction when you do that?
It really depends on the method that you're used to. I would say compared to a hot knife or an uncapping fork, it can be faster.
Right.
But some of the more advanced methods, then it might slow you down a little bit. It's really just whatever you're used to.
And when you put it in the extractor, does it get as clean? Does it clean out the cells
Oh,
as
yeah,
easily as a
absolutely.
complete uncap?
Absolutely.
Okay. And heat, does that play a part at all?
There's no heat in our version of this item,
Right.
so I wouldn't pull your frames out of the freezer and try and force them through.
Right.
But generally, doesn't seem to be an issue.
Okay. Now let's talk about, because we get a lot of questions about storing frames, comb, stuff like that. And I notice you have Paramoth here, insecticide. Have you used it yourself?
Absolutely.
Would you like to give us a quick rundown of
I
how
would
it
love
should
to.
and should not be used?
Yes,
too?
absolutely. So we do have two products that we keep for frame storage at room temperature. We have Paramoth and Sertan, and they really have some different ideal uses. So Paramoth is the more toxic of the two, and I try to be very upfront with folks about that. The active ingredient here is paradichlorobenzene. That's very important because other kinds of mothballs and moth crystals have active ingredients that are going to be left behind as a residue in the wax. And that's not something that we want because we want the bees to be able to make good use of the equipment after it comes out of storage. So this chemical is going to repel and kill wax moths and a lot of other kinds of pests that you can get in your equipment when it's in storage. It's got such a strong smell, it can even repel mice depending on where you've got them stored. And so with your Paramoth, you're going to create a stack of boxes. You're going to seal any cracks. We really like to wrap duct tape around each box. I think it's 5 deeps or 10 supers that you're going to make your stack. Paramoth turns to a gas when it's in use. So you create I like to say pile at the top of your stack of your Paramoth crystals. And then what that's going to do, you put a lid on it. You've created a small gas chamber. So this is going to turn to a gas. That gas is going to fall through the column and it's going to protect any drawn wax that's inside that column. You do have to check on it from time to time while it's in storage. If you do not have any visible crystals, you're no longer protected. That gas has to be active in order for it to be of use. Before you make use of those boxes, you need to take the stack apart and air them out for at least several days. You don't want too much of that smell to be left behind before you try to install bees into that equipment. So places that I really like to use this in pole barns or outdoor storage. I don't prefer it if your equipment is stored in an attic, basement, or attached garage because it does have a very strong chemical smell. The gas itself is toxic, and so I don't really like it to be adjacent to the home. In that situation, I would recommend something that's a little bit gentler, like our Surtan. So Surtan is a BT-based product. It's much more targeted. It very specifically is going to kill wax moths that emerge and try to feed on the comb. So we're not dealing with a repellent effect here. We're not going to keep out ants or beetles or mice or anything else. This is very targeted at wax moths. You apply it as a spray. It comes as a concentrate. You spray your drawn wax frames. You have to let them entirely dry, and then they're safe to store at room temperature. No chemical smell, no need to air it out, none of that toxicity that we deal with the Paramoth. Much more targeted, much safer if you're going to store your equipment adjacent to the home. But because it's more targeted, you can run into other issues, especially things like mice and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's very interesting. Now, when it's done, what do you do with the crystals? Like, they don't just disappear.
So they generally do. As you
they
make use
do.
of the crystals, as they turn to a gas, they actually disappear.
Oh, so there's
at the
no
end of
residue?
Generally, no. At the end, there is going to be some disposal instructions if you do have some residue left behind. I use a paper plate at the top of my stack to hold my pile of crystals, and there are going to be disposal instructions here if you do have residue that's left behind. As it gets later in the season, I am applying less and less of it if I do have to top it up, because I would prefer not to deal with residues wherever possible.
Okay, does that have a shelf life if somebody bought that and didn't
Absolutely.
use
So
it yet?
anytime you buy a product like this, you should be looking for expiration dates, manufacture dates, and things like that. It should be very clearly labeled. If it's not, definitely ask your retailer about that.
So let's say it's brand new. How long is it good for?
I want to say that typically it's 2 years.
2 years.
2 years on the shelf.
So don't buy it ahead and stockpile a bunch of it.
No, I don't. I would not prefer. It does come in larger containers. We sell it in a 1 pound. There are 5 pound and even larger containers you can buy if you're storing a lot of equipment and you want to be cost effective. But generally, for your backyard beekeeper, your 1 pound container is more than enough.
Now, what drove you personally to use Paramoth? What were you doing ahead of time, and what were the problems you were finding?
So the reason that we make a lot of use of Paramoth, we do store our equipment in an outbuilding. It is not, we do not walk through it on a regular basis. We don't have eyes on our equipment on a regular basis. So everything that comes in out of the yard first gets frozen to kill anything that's active in it, wax moths, hive beetles, anything like that. But we just don't have enough freezer space. We run several hundred colonies. We don't have enough freezer space for all of our drawn comb, especially our honeycomb, that we want to make use of year after year. And so we were having a lot of issues with wax moth infestation in there. It's dark. It gets, warm in there when it's spring and fall in our region. And so we needed something that was going to really cover our bases. So we do apply Surtan if it's going to be short term especially, but when we want to be able to store it for several months, we want to know that it's really protected from anything that's going to get into those stacks of equipment. Paramoth is our favorite.
Okay. Is there anything else that's new or interesting that you find people are really kind of excited
absolutely.
about?
So something that we're really excited about, we have partnered with EasyOx to
Yep.
carry their pre-measured oxalic acid tablets.
Okay.
These are intended only for vaporizing.
Are
not
those
for anybody
tablets
who
2
does
grams
it.
each?
These
or
are 1
they're
gram,
1
but the
gram?
package does call for you to use 2 per treatment. So it is
Okay.
considered a 2-gram treatment. Not meant for dribble, only meant for vaporization, but really takes a lot of the guesswork out of dosage, which is so important when you're dealing with your mite
Yeah,
treatment.
so like the people that are using the pans and things like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you've got is that a ProVap? What is
Yes,
that?
we have
Instant
the
Vap?
OxyVap, we have the ProVap, the battery version that runs on a DeWalt or Milwaukee battery, and
Yeah.
then we do also have the traditional that's going to plug into a traditional outlet.
Okay.
We have used both. We've had really fantastic luck with the ProVap line, and we recommend them all.
Now I see this little rubber piece here that looks like it belongs on the end of a cane or something. What is that?
Hey, Calvin, you have more expertise about the ProVap. Do you want to talk to him about
What
the
is
rubber
this
cap?
little rubber cap here that you have?
That's for this piece kind of comes out here. It's wedged in there pretty good. I believe this part right here.
Oh, that's
Cover that when you're done.
Oh, I see. Okay, just to keep it clean.
Yep.
What do you recommend to clean that out after you're done using it?
Some pipe cleaners actually work pretty good, or a piece of sometimes you can find the metal pipe cleaners.
Yeah.
Metal brass. That works very good.
You don't
These,
use just
Have you seen these? They're different
the
sizes.
metered. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
got that actually.
I love it.
Yeah.
Simplifies things quite a bit.
Your frames.
Okay.
Yep.
So is that what's your hot seller this year?
Something that's very new that I think is going to be a hot seller. Not many people have seen yet are the Cypress Dovetail toolboxes.
Cypress dovetailed toolbox. Ooh, that is nice looking.
Your smoker fits perfectly on the side. No problem there. It's really all you need to go to the bee yard for just general inspection.
You sell these online?
they're going online. We haven't had a chance to put them on there. We made them right before Nobby. So
Right before Nobby. And so
I made
this
one
is a
several
nice
years
heavy
ago
duty
for my father, and he absolutely loves it. It's still holding up about 10 years later, so I figured it's tried and true. So
What is your website, midnightbeesupply.com?
That's
or?
correct.
That's
Yep.
it. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. Says good.
And so we're here with Olivia, and you have become the Pennsylvania Honey Queen.
Yes.
And tell me about your track to get to that position. Like, how did you learn about it in the first place?
So I learned about the program through the 2024 Pennsylvania Honey Queen, now the 2025 American Honey Queen, Cheyenne Bastion Brown.
Yep.
She had introduced me to the PSBA, introduced me to the program.
And I want to pause you there right now. So she's the American Honey Queen. How many times has a Pennsylvanian won that title? And who else are we in competition with state-wise?
So Pennsylvania has won the American Honey Queen title many times. There have been many American honey princesses and American honey queens that have come from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Very frequently, we tend to flutter between Wisconsin, Texas, California.
Yeah.
And this year, there were 3 girls vying for the title from Pennsylvania, California, and Wisconsin.
And so that means that Pennsylvania now has won the title of American Honey Queen more than any other state
believe
in the
it
United
does.
States. It does.
It does, yes.
Yeah, okay. So now this is a big commitment on your part, because once you get the title, you have to come around to things like this.
Mhm.
So what's your year look like?
So my year right now looks like a lot of 4-H club visits, visiting the youngsters, doing a lot of hands-on crafting with my little ones, with my little friends, but also visiting events like festivals, Fort Hunter Day, Fort Goddard Days, visiting more just types of events where I can interact with the public.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a couple of goals for myself, like visiting a certain amount of beekeepers meetings, attending association meetings, just to interact more with the association, whether it just be PSBA or local county level associations, as well as county fairs. So going around to county fairs, seeing what kind of apiary products are being presented across the county, which counties may have more, which counties may have less, and counties that are looking to kind of bolster their apiary division.
Now I know that you have a Facebook
Yes.
page. There's a YouTube channel as well, right?
Not that I am familiar with.
You're not familiar with it. So what are the outlets? Is there a website for the Honey Queen program?
The main forms of communication are going to be the Facebook page is Pennsylvania Honey Queen, and then we have the website. So if you're on the PSBA website, the Honey Queen program has a tab underneath that. Right?
Okay. So now you're meeting kids of all ages. How much do you think they are aware of the Honey Queen before you show up? In other words, do they know it was a thing, or they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know this was something you could do?
I don't think most of them are aware. And I think that's what interests them the most, is that they kind of look and they go, oh, sparkly thing. And then that gets their attention.
Mhm.
And honestly, I think it sparks their attention more, and it kind of gravitates them more.
Mhm.
And then once they start talking to me, I've had kids running around screaming that bees have 5 eyes because they just think it's
Yeah.
the coolest thing.
Yeah.
So I think once you kind of get the attention, because they're not really sure who you are. And then once they figure it out, then they get really excited about it.
Now, how much are you coached, if at all? In other words, do they do things to prepare you for this role, or are you just kind of doing your own thing and being yourself, or are there topics you're trying to hit on? How does that go?
So in November, I did a training with Kathy Vorsick. So we kind of went through anything and everything that we could think of during that weekend, of kind of what she expects from the program, what the program expects of me, and what things that I might encounter, or what programs I might teach, or what advice I might go over. So we went through a lot of kind of what are your capabilities, and so I had it's called my Queen Kit. So I have a big duffel bag. I have a bunch of promotional materials, like teaching materials, everything that's set out on my table here is from my Queen Kit. So some of the things I've actually acquired since becoming the state honey queen. So friends have made some contributions along the way. But so I have a bunch of different promotional materials where I can do cooking demos. I can do stories lessons. I actually have an event coming up where I'm going to a children's library to do part of their story guides. So I can do a bunch of different things. So it's basically where we went through with that training. But a lot of it, I did public speaking through 4-H and FFA.
So you are a 4-H and FFA.
I'm comfortable in that arena.
So let's talk about 4-H a little bit. Is that program still strong? Are there a lot of attendees to that? Or
in 4-H?
In 4-H,
yes. So 4-H is present in every single county of Pennsylvania. Right. They have a program in some sort of capacity throughout.
And they're broken up by kind of the livestock that you're raising, right?
So it depends on the county that you're in. The counties will structure themselves each county structures themselves a little differently. Like my home county is Lawrence County. So we have like a club for each species. And then obviously then the family living, cooking, photography, they all have their individual
4-H has photography?
Oh yes, there's so many things. We have cooking, crafting, sewing. They have.
Do you have a chicken crew?
Yes, we have poultry. It's the Scrambled Eggs 4-H Club in Lawrence County.
The Scrambled Eggs.
The Scrambled Eggs 4-H Club.
Okay. Yeah. So what was your category? What were you doing in 4-H?
So I showed lambs. I showed market lambs and breeding sheep and market hogs. I also showed horses for a time until I moved over to rodeoing horses.
You rodeo?
I did.
So are you a barrel racer? What do you do?
I did barrels, poles, breakaway roping, and goat tying.
Wow. Goat tying? Mm-hmm. How does a goat feel about that? What do you do? So then when did honeybees come into play?
So my aunt and my uncle, they have apiaries. They also handle swarms because it's very common. They're in Armstrong. So it was always very common for swarms to come up in the spring, and people don't know what they are, so they immediately start trying to spray them, or they try to swat them away.
Right.
So they were kind of trying to raise more awareness towards, hey, let's not do that. If you see a swarm, if you think it's a swarm, just give us a call. We'll relocate it, and we'll get it into a hive. They'll relocate it to another area. So I always say I'm bee adjacent. Is that I've always been around that. I haven't had hives specifically on my farm, but they would take care of swarms. They had hives. They did box repairs, frame repairs, all that.
Now, do you have plans to keep bees of your own now, or do you now?
So actually, for my Christmas present, my uncle built me my first hive. So I'm really excited. I obviously can't really knock on the door and ask half of a colony to come hang out in mine for a little bit. So we'll wait until spring for that. But I'm really excited. So I have my little hive. He told me the deal was he would build it for me if I painted it. So
that's great.
I can make that happen.
That's great that he's going to do that. How do you think you'll source your bees, since you don't want to do you mentioned you're not going to do a split, so how would you source your first colony? Are you going to go for a swarm in spring, or what would you like to do?
My thought was that they handle so many swarms and they get them so frequently that I don't think it's going to take very long for them to get a call for a swarm. So a swarm was going to be my first idea, and then if that doesn't work out, or if something that just doesn't work out, then I was going to go for a split.
Okay, so now that you're the honey queen, what surprised you about that you didn't expect? One thing that kind of caught you off guard. Wow, I didn't know it was going to be like this,
The amount of different products that come from just beeswax.
Right.
Because I was familiar with honey. I'm familiar with honey, familiar with honeycomb, but it was just the beeswax products. Mm-hmm. And getting to learn more about that, specifically at Farm Show, I absolutely loved getting to do the beeswax judging.
Okay, so we were slightly interrupted there, just hearing announcements. So, what are you looking forward to the most to finish off your year? So you're going to do this all the way through the year, right?
Through October.
And then they elect another one, and that's at the state...
at annual conference.
At the annual conference.
In October, yes.
And would you pick someone that you would encourage to take your place? or do you have a hand in that? Do you have a voice in choosing the next honey queen? How does that go?
So obviously throughout the year, I'm always trying to encourage young ladies to come out and vie for their position. Anytime I'm at any type of event where ladies of that age would be attending, which is almost everywhere.
Yeah.
I always like to put a little sign up out that says, hey, if you're interested in becoming the 2026 PA Honey Queen, throw your information down and we'll send you an email. That way they can be in touch. I always like to put it out there that if I'm in their area and they could come with me to an event so that they could see what all is going on, because that's how Cheyenne actually got me the most interested. She brought me as a chaperone to one of her events, and that's how I got into it.
Okay, well, I want to thank you. We're going to keep track of you through the year, and thanks for taking time to explain the program.
Of course.
Okay, so everybody should really already know about Hive Alive. So we're here with Brad, and there is some new stuff that's come out over the past year, and you said there's some timing with releasing some of this, like Easy Feed.
Yes.
And we know that the Hive Life fondant packs, people are just snagging those up, and they're performing really well for winter survival.
They really are.
Yeah. So what do you want to talk about us right now? What's the hot item? Let's go over Easy Feed, I think.
Yeah, the Easy Feed is one of these. It is what it is. It's an easy feeding packet. It's a 2-to-1 mixture of sucrose, sugar water, and a full dose of Hive Alive in here. It's just a convenient way to feed bees. It's got a flat bottom, and then you have a dome style top, and all you do is put 5 or 6 pinholes in the top, drop this right on your inner cover or on top of your colonies, and they'll feed right down into this. So if you've got a nuke or a swarm, just want to do a quick feed out in the apiary, you don't have time to mix up a batch of sugar water, that's where this comes in handy.
Okay, so it's got a Hive Alive dose for what size colony?
Any, a nuke, a swarm, you could put 2 of these, a couple of these bags. It's not going to take the place of your true feeding of, it's not the most cost-effective way to feed.
So that's 2 pounds?
This is 2 pounds, yeah.
Now, I've had some people say this. I don't want to catch off guard. But people will look at this because I've promoted it on my channel before, and they've said that the cost is actually similar to when they're mixing 2-to-1 themselves. So is it?
I haven't done the cost analysis to figure that out, but for me, it's more of a convenience thing. I keep a box in my truck or a garage, and it's easy enough for me to mix up a pail of, for my 12, 15 colonies. So.
Okay, so this is a good question too. Since it has Hive Alive in it, and it is a dose, does that extend the shelf life for that syrup?
Yeah, so you've got, I believe it's 15 months on these bags themselves.
Okay.
Our concentrated mix has a 3-year shelf life on it, so shelf stable. You don't have to refrigerate it. Just give it a really good shake, and all you need is 2 teaspoons of this per gallon of sugar water.
Okay.
It'll actually extend the life of your sugar water too. From
yeah, we found that out kind of last year that it had the same extending, keeps it from getting that black mold and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And the bees really like it, and it's got lemongrass oil in it, but not enough lemongrass to cause that robbing pattern that some other products have.
Okay.
And then of course our proper dose of seaweed extract and thymol.
Okay.
You can really smell the thyme in this.
Yeah, you really can.
I'm in Seattle, a really wet climate, and my bees love this. I've been using this for 2 years and really seen a difference in my colony strength. So
now, another question. When we have this on, if you set this on your inner cover, we want to move it off to the side of the hole that comes through.
Correct, yeah.
Right.
The bees will feed from the top down.
Right, so they can't, obviously, if it was underneath, it would just leach out.
Right.
So what happens when it's exceeded its shelf life? Like, in other words, we say that it's good for so long. Is it just that it's less effective?
It'll be less effective. It's not going to spoil.
It's still a sugar syrup.
It's still a sugar syrup, yeah.
And is it invert sugar?
Good question.
Is it straight sucrose, or is it glucose and fructose now?
It's not corn syrup. I know that.
Right,
so
right.
It's the good stuff. So it's a mixture of sucrose and sugar.
Okay, so it is straight. And then the kick is that it's got Hive Alive in it.
Yes.
And it comes in, this box right here is 9 2-pound bags, so that's an 18-pound box. Is that the size that you're shipping
Yes.
all of them?
This is the shipping size. Yep.
Okay, and people get them straight from.
You can get it from our dealers or at hivealivebees.com. We are a new product we're gonna have in the spring is we're gonna have pre-mixed batches of syrup in larger totes and stuff. So more for your commercial guys and stuff like that.
So we're talking about this stuff in a bigger.
That mixed with sugar syrup.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I see
So
what we're
easy-
saying.
a giant,
Oh, and then
easy
they
feed.
put it in the feeder that they
Yeah,
want, so it wouldn't
exactly.
necessarily be the bag.
So totes essentially.
Now, when we're doing this bag, just pinholes or
Just pinholes. I
people using-
did 5 or 6. I just took a needle around and just put 5
Yeah.
or 6. You'd be amazed how
Yeah,
quick they take. it
yeah,
down just
because
with
they
a pinhole.
can get their proboscis in there because we did field testing last year of that, and one of the reasons, obviously, this is inside the hives, we don't worry about wasps and hornets and things trying to access it, but just for those that are wondering, they can't when
Yeah.
it's just pinholes.
Exactly.
All right. So we've also got, these are popular now, although they're pink today, but they're spacers that
Mhm.
have a cut tooth area built into them.
Mhm.
So that's for the fondant. right?
Exactly. You cut
And then-
through here,
Yep.
and then this provides a little bit of a shim too on top if you're feeding on top, just for them to get in.
Yeah.
You can use this or simply cut a hole in with an X-Acto knife or a knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the spacers, anything new? We got the hive tool.
Hive tool. It's a little thicker metal, so it doesn't flex like a lot of hive tools do. It's a
Yeah.
good color that they found in research that if you drop this in the grass, you can
Yep.
see this better than red.
You do not want to find your hive tool with your mower.
Right.
Right.
And
Okay.
really sharp. And this
Sound
elongated hinge is great too. The hook.
Yeah.
What?
Modeled after kind of the Kent Williams hive tool. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's a nice powder coat too. Do you happen to know? Again, I don't want to surprise you with a question. Is this stainless steel?
I believe it's stainless. Yeah.
You have a magnet,
It is magnetized. Yeah.
so it could be 400 series stainless thing,
Could be.
because 300 series stainless
I
would
gotta
not
ask
be
Gary these
magnetic.
questions. You're putting me
Okay.
on the- I'll get back to you.
All right.
We'll do an update.
Now, if it's magnetic and it's corrosion resistant, that would be a 400 series, so that we can use magnetic retainers and
Yep,
things
yep.
like that.
Good point.
Anything new coming out other than the totes you talked about?
Just the totes and kind of what we see here. I mentioned we do have pollen patties, both winter pollen and summer pollen, 4%,
Okay.
15%.
When do you recommend people put those on?
You know, me personally, I start with a little piece just to see if they take it, and I'll put
Okay.
the winter on. I'm in Seattle, another colder climate, but just to supplement feed. Ours do have the dose of Hive Alive, so it's a good way to
Yeah.
encourage them, to get that into their feed.
Yeah, I like the idea of what you just said. Give them a small piece, see if
Yeah.
they take it, because rather than put on the whole pack,
And have it be all
'cause
dry
they're
or
expensive.
mushy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And shelf life on those.
It's going to be a little, if you don't freeze them, I think we say 4 to 5 months on those. They don't,
Okay.
ours don't come wrapped in poly bags. So if you're
Right.
going to,
The
Yeah,
edges
for
are
extended-
open all the way around.
yeah, so you put them in a Ziploc and you can freeze them for, I believe, up to a year.
Okay.
If you're buying from Global Direct, you can mix in, or they can mix in Hive Alive with just Global
Those
Certain
patties.
patties.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have an account with them,
Okay. Oh, that's great.
yeah.
I think that covers it. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Fred.
So here we are with Mark, Northwest Pennsylvania Beekeepers Association, and we're selling, among other things, I just want to get to this, the very best smoker pellets ever made on Earth at any time. What kind of feedback are you getting?
A lot of really good feedback. People that have used it love it. It's easy to use. They like the storage in the bag.
Hey, Chris.
So, yeah, very good feedback.
And so storage in the bag. How long is this stuff good for on the shelf?
As far as we've never tested it,
Yeah.
but I would say it would be good for at least a year or more.
Okay. Just keep it dry and don't shake it around very much, right?
My experience with the pellets was if you let them get at least a little bit damp, they were done. But it still works.
Okay. And so what's the number one thing you hear over and over from people that have bought them? Does it because it lasts so long, or what? You've got repeat customers.
Repeat customers like the smoke.
They like the smoke.
Smoke it's a heavier smoke, but it's cool. The bees like it better than some of the others.
So the bees, when you say they like it, how would we know that? They respond better without getting angry?
They stay calmer. Yes.
Okay. So the other thing is, now people tell me I'm a little biased, no secret. They get a lot of time out of a smoker full of pellets, right? So those who have gone out in the bee yard, lit it up, and then they find, 20 minutes into their inspections, their smoker's out.
Right.
So, but getting it lit can be a challenge. Do you have a favorite method of lighting your smoker?
I like to use
A candle. Thank you.
my propane heat torch.
Okay.
Of course, in here I can't bring the torch, the tank with me, but I like starting it with the propane torch.
Okay.
Starts very easy.
It is.
Main thing with the pellets, it stays lit for a long time.
Okay. We're talking hours, right?
Hours. What I normally do with mine is I will start my smoker with a handful of pellets in the
Okay.
bottom. I'll start it with the propane. Once it gets going very good, takes about a minute.
Okay.
And I'll put a couple of handfuls on top, and that will usually last me 2 hours.
Okay. So you got 2 hours out of it. You're an hour and a half in. You want to shut it down. You don't want to waste your pellets. What are you going to do?
I want to shut it off. I put my cork in the end of the.
So when people come up to you and say, put a cork in it, Mark, that's what they mean?
That's what they mean. Put a cork in the end of your smoker, shuts the airflow off, shuts off your pellets, and saves any pellets that are in there for the next time.
And we want to give a shout out to Ernst Seeds for hooking us up with those pellets.
Seeds, the one that turned us on to this.
Okay.
During our field day 2 years ago, they brought it up and thought they would make excellent smoker. We actually tried a couple of different pellets that they produce, and we found out that the blue stem switchgrass was the best.
Okay.
It lasted a long time.
Now, so this is a fundraiser for a nonprofit.
Yes.
What do we do with the money?
The money goes into supporting beekeepers, education, and teaching people throughout whether they keep bees or not, just the general public on what bees are all about.
Okay, that's great. Final words? Anything you'd like to say?
I don't have anything right now, sir.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mark. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay, so we're at Rose Micro Solutions, and you're Kevin Muckle. Is that how you say it?
Yep.
And what's your position with the company, first of all?
Salesman.
Salesman. And so these caught my eye because me personally, I do a lot of macro, micro photography and cinematography. And I'm always looking for, this is what caught my eye. These close up, these look like they flip up. Could you tell us a little bit about what they're for? I see probably your target is grafters or something.
In this field, grafting, correct. Right. We also are in the medical side, dental,
Okay, yeah.
veterinarians, things like that, all sorts of different areas. There's a ton of applications.
And so,
there's a ton of applications you can use with these.
yeah.
Grafting, medical side, dental, hygiene, things like that.
Yeah.
We're here obviously with the grafters.
Okay.
What I have on here is different mags, different working distances, different frames. Like these, for instance, is an open frame where you can put these over your glasses if you'd like to. They flip up, they flip down. You put your glasses on like this, basically.
Okay, so people that have glasses.
People that have glasses, then slip right on like this, put your magnification down, and you're going to find that working distance. It's perfect. Crystal clear. The price is right. We were affordable. The optics, the quality are fantastic. We also have lighting systems. If you need a little light for it, you can get some lighting system.
And how does that attach? Or
The lighting system was just attached right to your loop like that.
Okay.
You take that out.
And that's an LED, I'm guessing.
LED bulb, yes.
And that has its own battery pack?
You get 2 battery packs with it. You can get one or 2.
And can you control the intensity there?
That's you can.
Okay.
Just you go up and down with this here. You want the intensity. It's a super nice bright light.
And so let's say full power, full intensity,
10
fully
to 12
charged,
hours.
10 to 12 hours. Okay.
Yep.
And so I'm just guessing when I look at these, like a 2.3, that's 2.3 times magnification.
Correct.
So what's your most popular for the grafters you've spoken with here?
2.3 and 3.5.
2.3 and 3.5.
Yep. If some
Okay.
people want a little bit more detail, so they'll go with a 3.5.
Yeah.
A lot of people go with the 2.5 because it's easy to use, get a big field of view. A little bit of flexibility, what they call depth of field, where you can move in and out a little bit. With the
Okay.
3.5, the more mag you go, the less field you have, the less depth you have.
Okay.
So some people like the flexibility as opposed to the detail.
Right. Okay. So depth of field is critical.
Correct.
Let's talk price point. What are they going
At the
for?
show, I'm giving I normally have show special. Here at the B show, I give a little bit more of a discount than I do some other people, just because it's new to the market. We want to get them involved. We want to get in
Oh
their
wait,
hands.
so new to the market. How long have you been available?
We've been in business for over 20 years.
Oh, okay.
In the V,
In the V
side
space,
of it,
kind
we've
of.
been probably 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
So we do some of the bigger shows that are out there. We were in Louisville this year at Cayman's. We also went to Reno, and there's a couple other smaller shows that we do. This one here I just found out about last week, and we just popped out here, and it's we're doing pretty well.
Oh, that's
It's a
great.
show. Yeah.
Okay.
So price point, our loops right now, I'm selling a loop 2.3, 2.5, 3.5 for $350, which includes your shipping, taxes, everything right to your door.
Okay. Now I'm looking at that. There was a green cast. Are these coated then?
Yeah.
They are. Okay. Talk to me about maintenance a little bit.
Hey, it's a good question. You have a lifetime warranty on the optics themselves. Lifetime warranty.
Okay.
They're waterproof as well, which is nice for the beekeepers because they're out in the elements.
Okay.
If they get wet, you can't hurt them. And all you do is you get a little cleaning cloth in your kit. You just clean them right off. If you got it really dirty, you can put these, submerge them right in water, clean them up, and you can't hurt them. So,
Okay. And I noticed that some of them have like complete kits.
You can get a
These are
complete
the
kit.
carry cases.
this would be your loop case. This would be your light case, and you want a. If you want a both. We call this a combo kit, where you have your loop, your batteries, your lights, your charger, everything for your light. There's what they call a combo case.
Okay. Now the
great
batteries that are in that power pack, those are probably
Lithium
proprietary. Can they be changed out by the owner?
That was something you would get to come to us.
Okay.
You're going to use this until it dies. And
So-
just contact us, and you get a new battery through us.
Oh, you get so at a discount, or how does that work?
Well, the batteries themselves are about $180. So
Okay.
to replace the battery.
How many years are people getting out of these?
Uh,
Now that's based on use.
It's based on use. It's based on you have a certain amount of charges per battery. So the less you charge the battery, the longer it will actually last over the lifetime.
Okay.
So you get 2 batteries in your kit normally. With the bee industry, I give them 1 battery because they're not going to use it a ton. So they get 1 battery. So I tell them, don't charge it unless you kill it. Kill it and then charge it.
Okay, so now are you recommending that people cycle it all
Cycle
the way
it through.
to zero?
Correct. Cycle it through. Yep. You want
Okay.
to cycle it through because the less you charge it, the longer it'll last you.
Okay. That's fantastic.
Great product.
And
Great product.
the website is
RoseMicroSolutions.com.
and where's the next? Are you going to be at the North American Honeybee Expo in January of next year?
Oh yeah,
You will be.
we will.
Okay.
Yes. And where's that going to be next year? Is it Reno again?
Reno?
Was it Reno?
No, North American Honeybee Expo is in Louisville.
Oh, I'll be there.
Yeah.
It's Cayman's.
Yeah, Cayman
Oh yeah,
Islands.
I'll be there. Yeah.
Okay, so will you probably offer or list discounts for people there?
We will have show discounts every show we
Okay.
do. Yes.
That
Yep.
sounds great. Well, thanks a lot.
Yeah,
I appreciate the
you.
time.
Thank you for stopping.
Yep, absolutely. So we're here with Jennifer from Hilco. First of all, tell me what your position is with Hilco.
I'm sales manager for Hilco.
overall, like the big wig?
Yes, I guess.
How many sales managers are there?
One.
Oh my gosh. So you're the individual to talk to. Now, one of the things that caught my attention over here is your steam wax melter. Would you run that down for us and explain how it works?
All right. So we have got a steam generator here on top. We've got a hose that attaches the steam into the tank. Just connected with one wing nut right here, and the steam comes through here. And then on the inside, we've got this basket that holds your cappings.
Wow.
This will do approximately 10 gallons of cappings at a time. So we recommend to put 2 to 3 layers of paper towels in the bottom, covering up those sort of holes. And that'll make cleanup so much easier, and it actually adds an extra level of filtering. And then we also have some filter bags that are like elastic at the top that you can put inside of a bucket. And then you can put your cappings in those and then take the filter bags, and you can get 2 5 gallons worth of cappings in here. Just make sure you keep it inside this rim here. It'll hold 2 5 gallons, and then you just put your lid back on. And let's see here. Like that was there's I'm not.
Now, when you put water in that for steam, are you saying, does it matter distilled water or just regular?
Tap
Okay.
water. I have taken the lid off this thing, so you have to clip this part out. So I'm not sure I get the lid off.
Maybe it's uh,
You can touch with hanging.
droughts.
Am I the first one to ask about it?
No, I've just not had to take the lid off. I
Okay.
was going to show inside of it.
Okay.
But anyway,
Well, you do have some controls over it here.
yep. So,
Okay.
So it takes about 20 minutes for this steam generator to heat up and start producing steam. It does have a shutoff in it, so once it gets so low, it will shut itself off.
Oh, okay. That's
So it's
good.
really nice. I wouldn't count on it, but if you do walk away
It does
from
have
it,
safety built
that's
in.
not a safety belt.
Okay.
Set the gate open once you start running it with a bucket underneath of it. You just put a bucket under here, and then your liquid wax and what little bit of water or honey or something will come into the bucket. And as it solidifies, the wax will be on top of whatever water there is. These are lifts just to make sure that it goes above a bucket. Bucket can go into it.
So there's no dynamic because there's no moving parts other than it's a steamer.
Yep.
And the whole thing is stainless steel.
Yep. And then it'll take about 2.5 hours, I believe, to steam through and melt about 10 gallons of cabbage.
And what kind of wattage are we talking about to run it? Do you know?
Just standard 110.
It's a 110, but like how many watts does it pull? Is it 1,000 watts or something?
I don't know.
Okay.
Let's see.
That's where.
That's better. The main picture also is like dry.
1,500 watts.
1,500 watts. Okay.
It's on the
That's interesting. Have you sold any? So you sold some. Okay.
That is.
And has anyone used it and given you feedback on it, what they liked, or any suggestions for changes, or
Not
they were just
yet.
happy with it?
Just happy with it so far. Again, John's ran it, for a full demo, and there is a video on our YouTube channel
Okay.
showing him run it and like putting the cappings in it and things like that. So proof of concept works. It does filter wax. I was very shocked and surprised at how clean the wax was that came out of it
Okay.
because of the filter bags and then the paper towel. It's probably not cosmetic grade, but it's really
Yeah.
clean wax.
And how long have you been offering this? Is this new this year?
This
or-
was new, launched at the expo.
at the expo.
Yep,
Okay.
launched at the expo.
And I see you've got a price here. Is this it?
Yep, $6.99.
And you offer just one unit, right?
Yeah.
There's no options.
No
Okay.
options. So.
That's interesting. Okay. Anything else that's a hot item that you want to talk to us about? Anything
The
else?
next one is the warming cabinet.
Let's talk about the warming cabinet.
So we basically took a beverage cooler and added a heating unit in it. Henny, could you plug it up? Or is it plugged up?
What
No,
is
okay, that's-
this? That almost looks like a
Speaker.
Looks like a speaker.
It's not. It's part of the original unit. for
Okay.
the cooling part. So this will cool up to 50 degrees. And then the heater will go
Give me an example of why we would want to cool anything.
for cream tiny. So it's for setting cream tiny.
And that happens at 50. Is that optimum? For that?
No, optimum on like small batch, KitchenAid mixer, bucket with drill paddle. The optimum is actually 54 to 57.
Okay.
And this cooler does not do that. But for using a creaming machine, you can actually cool at like 37. So you can get down to like 37.
And I'm going to ask the same question. How long have you offered this?
With launch at the expo.
It's another new one. Okay.
It's another new one. And so it's really for crystallizing honey, for decrystallizing honey. So that's really the other part of this.
And then notice these are all coated
Mm-hmm.
and adjustable shelves. Okay. And thermostat control. Does this have an app or anything, or is it controlled just like this?
Right here.
So I was almost expecting that everything today seems to have a computer app with it.
So yep, you can run it
Yep.
up.
So is that our current temp, 75 right now?
Yeah, 75 with the
Okay.
open. Yep.
And I see that you've got two, like, is that a low fan speed and a higher fan
No, so
speed?
this side is heat. This is off, and that's cooling. So this is your
Oh, okay.
this is your cooling part.
Yeah, interesting. So how many, like, quart jars would it hold?
Look here, quart jars. Ooh, it holds about 61 pounders and about 32 pounders.
Okay.
So probably 24 or so quarts.
And the physical dimensions of this, it looks like it's about 3 feet tall.
I would say.
Okay.
Yes.
And as far as placement in a building or a room, you recommend that it could sit on the floor on a counter, or can it wall
I
mount?
have my personal one sitting on the floor.
Oh, you have one?
Yeah, and so
Okay.
it's not super conducive for changing things, because you have to get down on the ground.
Right.
So it really
okay.
would be nice on a counter, but I have.
But you have to consider the amount of weight that's going to be in it.
Correct.
Is there a maximum weight capacity for the shelves or anything like that?
Nope. If you take these two shelves out, it will hold a 5-gallon bucket of honey to decrystallize. So you can decrystallize a bucket of honey. That takes about 30 hours.
Okay. Wow.
At 110.
Okay.
So you can decrystallize a full bucket of honey in 30 hours.
Very interesting. Okay. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
That's it. Well,
good.
thank you so much for your time.
You too.
Okay, so here we are again with the keeper's hive.
Hey, Fred.
So, George, listen, everybody wants to know things. I'm being bombarded with questions. Why not? Let's just go to the source on this. So, let me start off with this is the 2-queen system
Correct.
that I have still in its box.
It's
Okay.
I think
Okay. So, one of the questions I've gotten even here at this conference wintertime, we have a queen excluder. The queen excluder, what is their winter resource? That next box, right?
so. Let me tell you your options for your
Yeah,
winter.
let's hear that.
So with the wintering, the first thing you want to do when your hives go into winter is remove your queen excluder. You should never leave a queen excluder on a hive in winter. So the first thing we need to do is take the queen excluder off. So as you can see now that we have 8 deep frames on one side, 8 deep frames on the other side, then we have our deep box that is divided, that sits in the middle here. So your options are 2, Fred. You cannot have any frames in here, and you could end up running 8 frames through the winter in a single box and put your emergency fondant up here. The other thing you can do is you can leave your deep frames in here with honey and basically run 5 frames on either side of this, so the bees kind of move up in the winter into this box. Both of them work in Pennsylvania. If you're going to not have any frames up here, you're going to want to feed this with some syrup going into winter to put some food down here, because with most single brood chamber hives, the bees aren't going to store much food in the bottom brood chamber. Most of the food's going to be above. So if you decide that you're going to harvest everything above the queen excluder and overwinter without any frames up here, you're going to need to feed this syrup in the winter, and you're also going to need to use some emergency feed up here so they get through. If you're going to leave 5 deep frames of honey up here, that's going to be about 30 pounds of honey. That's probably going to be enough for them to get through the winter. So there are your options for winter.
And they stay, because that's the other question I've gotten today, is they stay separate because we have this divider board.
Right.
And then
talk to me about how we top that off. What kind of insulation or what's your cover setup like?
So the cover setup in this is usually I end up putting I end up putting the queen excluder at the top of the hive.
Now, can they cross that and get to each other?
That's probably a 1/4 inch. So that you may want to push that down a little bit. You can also, so on top of this, I'll put my 1.5 inch insulation board on here. If you're going to, the other option is you can before you put this on, you could put a feeding shim on the top here. So you could have like a 2-inch feeding shim that has a divider in the middle of it and put your emergency feed up here. And then your feeding shim and then your queen excluder on top. Then your 1.5 inch R10 foam board insulation up there, and then your outer cover above it. There's no reason to have any more than just the brood box and the spacer box going into winter. This is enough. Now, I've had some people ask, can I put because 2 4-frame nuke boxes would fit on a 10-frame box. People want to put
That's another question they get, to keep them separate.
To keep them separate. You could also take this box off and use 2 4-frame nuke boxes down there if you want. Instead of 1 10-frame box, you could use 2 4-frame nuke boxes to overwinter.
Now, what do you think is better, the single 10 or the 2 nukes?
It's kind of
I think either one would work, honestly. If you do 2 nukes, you're only going to have 4 frames in your nukes, right? So you're going to lose 1 frame of food, but you're going to have clearly separate colonies. And some people don't have access to 4-frame nuke boxes. They're not easily found.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, that's a 10-frame
This is
with a
10 frame
divider.
With a divider.
Now we're back at springtime.
Easy.
Let's open them up. What's the next move?
Hopefully your bees are alive.
They're alive. Okay.
So if you overwintered with honey frames up here, right, your bees are going to have moved up,
right,
in the winter, and basically come spring, you're basically going to take the whatever bees that are up here and move them back into the brood chamber on both sides. You're going to put the queen excluder back in.
I did what I right there.
And you're going to you're going to get it going again for spring. So once spring comes and you decide it's time, you can take your bees that are up here, move them back down into your brood chamber, put your queen excluder on, and get ready to demarry when the colonies
get ready to demarry.
Get ready to demarry. Let's bring out the demarry, Fred.
Now, where do you recommend that people learn about the demarry process?
From you, Fred.
George?
That's where you're going to
Not
learn
from me. I tell you right now.
You're going to log on to Fred. He's going to talk about the demarry, and he's going to teach you how to do it.
All right. So, have you gotten any feedback since we're here this weekend? Any feedback that gave you some ideas of some modifications? Do you think you're on the right track now? What's the consensus?
I've been at this for 7 or 8 years, so this is not my first rodeo with this hive.
Right.
And I'm always listening, right? So you always listen to what people are thinking and what people are saying. But at this point, I'm 100% confident the hive does what it says it's going to do. And it's going to work if you...
So no changes right now that you're thinking
I
about.
didn't hear anything. Did you hear anything, Dave?
Well, I mean, I think the only thing is, like right now, you mentioned like a divide, like a feeding shim with a divider in it. We don't have that to give you, right? So I think we're looking at just more ways to, like, let's say you want to overwinter on additional frames above here, as maybe you want to put extra food up there. I think we're just looking at like kind of like additional components, complementary components that might help people overwinter in different ways, basically. So, this works great for us, but not everyone out there necessarily wants to do it this way. But, so we're hearing just like little requests for, it would be great if I could put 2 nukes on top of that space.
Yeah.
2 years ago, I thought everybody should overwinter this with 5 frames of food up here. So 5 over 8. And this winter, I'm thinking, maybe it's best just to overwinter and single 8 and throw emergency food up here. So either work, and there's pluses and minuses.
There are people that do the single brood management for winter. Yeah.
Yeah.
You do that?
Yeah.
People in Canada.
Now, what about, since people are providing their own bottom boards, has anybody shared with you that they've got a great idea for a concept bottom board or anything, or they're just doing their own thing?
People have asked about using Athame bottom boards, and they do work.
You can get two of those. You can get them side by side.
Yeah.
The ones that are part of that wooden
I
configuration.
think because I'm not sure if it's those specific ones.
Yeah.
But I remember people, just because they are the exact dimensions of a standard 10 frame, I'm pretty sure you can do
Okay.
2 of them side by side.
Okay.
The other thing this does, you can use 10 frame bottom boards, you can use 8 frame bottom boards. The 10 frame bottom boards work best because it's most stable, but 2 8 frames work too. So anything, we're trying to make it easy for people.
The 8 frames would just have a small gap between.
Now there is. Let's open this up again
You want to
real
open it
quick.
up?
Yeah,
You wanna
would you
like-
please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
You
I
wanna
want to
take this out?
show what that centerpiece looks like. Because we talk about what the footprint looks like underneath and what the bees have access to. Okay, so we've got this. That's a cover. So let's.
So this is obviously when everything is taken apart.
Oh,
You can hand me
so other
case that.
When everything's taken apart,
yeah, true.
right?
A few trans.
This is the low. It's all hard conceptually. The supers sit on this box, right?
Right.
So this is the platform that the supers sit on. It's set in the center, and underneath it is closed. What's underneath after assembled. Now we've had some people ask us before they put the top on or the bottom on, they want to put insulation on the inside of this, insulation on the inside walls, and people are. I said you can do it. I'm not sure if it's helping you much. If
Yeah,
you
I don't-
only insulate one wall of a brood chamber.
Yeah.
You know, but people are doing
It
that.
wouldn't hurt to do it, but we don't know that it would necessarily.
There's a lot of questions that we're getting about people wanting to do different things, and I don't think most of the stuff's going to hurt how the hive works, but I'm not sure if it helps.
So can we pull these frames and see what that sidewall looks like?
Absolutely.
Well, I lived it. So ladies.
So when you pull,
Okay, so it's a box. It's
basically an
all the way
8
down.
frame. This
Okay.
The internal diameter or width of this box is 12.25 inches, which is a standard 8 frame box.
Okay.
So this holds 8 frames, and there's enough space for a 1/2-inch follower board in there. So again, you can say if you caught a small swarm or starting a package, and you only want to start in 4 frames, there you go. So the nice thing is that you can control the size of the brood chamber based on sort of what the colony needs at that moment. You're gonna keep the other frames in there behind the.
Yeah, I'm just having them to move over when it's time.
Move over, and I think again, if you're a horizontal hive user, if you use long Lange or Layens hives, you're familiar with the follower board concept. I think a lot of people that run their traditional vertically Langstroth hives have not used many follower boards, and it's one of my favorite features of this hive is the use of a follower board, because when your hive is small or when it requeens, it doesn't need all the space. So being able to condense the space down is a nice feature of it.
Okay.
So that's the 2 queen keeper. And again, we like the 1 queen keeper. We like the 2.
Is that your favorite? If you could have just one, would it be the 1 queen?
You're stopping.
If you spend all your money, you can only afford one.
Hive, would I do the 1 queen keeper? Yes, I'd do the 1 queen keeper. If you have a need for 250 pounds of honey, like if you have that need, then I would say sure, go with the 2 queen keeper. But if you're going to create a huge population of bees that's going to forage for all that honey, what are you going to?
Oh my goodness.
You have. It doesn't make sense to leave 200 pounds of honey on the hive for the winter.
Well, it's not staying on. I have a 9-year-old supervisor that has clients waiting on his products. He asks me daily,
How much?
there's 2 feet of snow outside. Grandfather, can we get some honey today? How about I just disconnect you from my phone? Can we do that? Okay.
So if you have a need for 200 pounds of honey, this is where you should go. If you want to make 40 pounds, that's the way you should go.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like the the main reason to run the 2 queen is to try to
Maximize honey production.
if you're just trying to have a few hives, make some money for yourself, and make it easier on yourself, this
And is the feedback the same? Like they say that if they had 2 independent colonies that were 10 framers, they don't get the honey production they get out of a 2 queen system.
we didn't.
And you did that video where you showed all that honey.
Yeah,
What time of year was that when you were? Was that
in July.
in July?
And that
Okay.
was a hive that we started those colonies.
Were you there for that? Were you in that video?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was.
Talk to me about why you had to abandon your post.
Well, so
Because you were weighing them.
yeah. Well, so we have this picture, right? Like this. It was a huge.
Oh,
number
yeah,
of
yeah,
bees.
yeah. Okay.
It was a huge number of bees, and
Yeah.
they were not happy about us taking all.
They were not happy. All right.
We need like full. We should have been fully suited, and we weren't. And I was scared. I'll be honest.
You were scared. Okay.
I was scared.
Well, nobody wants to be stung, so. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. All right. What's the next conference you're going to be at that you know of?
Honestly, probably EAS.
EAS.
Be the next one. Yeah.
And when and where is EAS?
Cherry Hill, New Jersey, in August.
Oh, it's in August, so that's quite a ways out. So we're already planning for the end of the year. Are you guys going to offer any specials there at that conference?
Well, so I mean, here's what I'll say: is that coming up in a few weeks, we're gonna have pre-orders available. Our next big batch of hives is coming in mid-March. We're gonna try to ship by the end of March. It might be the first week of April. But the number one thing people have been asking us for are just complete kits with all the other components.
Do they want their stuff finished, or do they want to paint
They
them?
want them wax dipped, and we actually don't recommend wax dipping these because
You don't?
Well, because it can shrink the wood and the
Oh, that's interesting. I'm glad you're mentioning that.
Yeah.
Wax dipping.
So
So wax dipping does alter the dimension of the lumber?
it's especially the roof. It can shrink. I guess it can shrink the right. And
Okay.
the roof, if the roof shrinks, it can start to jack some things up. So that's
It
kinda-
jacks some things up, he says. Okay.
Yeah. Something very okay.
All right. Well, as always, were you about to say something?
I love you, Fred.
I was just gonna say we're gonna be offering kits this spring. So if you guys want to pre-order a complete kit for like delivery in April, we'll have the components and frames and stuff like that.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say.